Hello. Oh, is my camera set up? Oh, it is. Turn that music down for you. Sorry, I was having a snack. I got thirsty, hungry, all that, right as I hit live. So, you know how it goes. So, what's up? Huh? Well, today we're gonna look at, let me show you my screen. This content website that I've been building. Excuse my creaky chair. So, I used to run this website, shredlove.com. It was our skateboard crew, basically. And where we hosted all of our photos and videos and all that stuff. Kind of before, you had YouTube channels, weren't super popular yet, and those kinds of things. So we had our own website, and since then we've kind of moved a lot of that content to YouTube and those other kinds of channels now, but I have a lot of content that is not online, that I want to put online. And when I put it online, I want to be able to share it somewhere, and I want to be able to archive it here as a place for anyone who's like, oh, I remember that video, I want to, find it. How can I find it? Instead of having to go to YouTube and search for it, you can come here and you can see it directly. So right now I don't have a lot of content in here. I've been building out the structure of the app. It's a Next.js app with Netlify CMS behind it. So not behind it, but I don't think many people have heard of this because it's not groundbreaking or anything like that. I've been trying it out. It's basically a headless CMS that works in, you can attach it to any site, but I've got it going in Next.js. And what it does is it kind of adds this little admin interface. Let's see if this video plays. One-click CMS.
The Netlify CMS is a content management solution built on a Git workflow. I'm going to show you how to get started today.
How long is this video? 2:30?
Remember the Get Started button, which will bring you in the netlifycms.org documentation on how to get started with the template.
This might be kind of
now, these are actually one-click templates. Once you've clicked the button, you'll arrive onto the Netlify dashboard.
This is some setup stuff. Let me see if I can get to the admin interface part.
This is necessary to set up a password within the identity network.
Here's a little bit of the admin. So this is what it adds for you.
And finally, now I have access to the CMS, where now I can see the content
it does work
live on my site. And now that I have created an account through Identity, I now have access to the CMS.
So you can come in here, create your own admin panel, and it based on the collections is like the data and stuff. And what it does behind the scenes, it's going to store it in just flat JSON files. You can do other times like Markdown and those kinds of things, etc. But I'm just doing flat JSON files because I want this data to be archived. That's what I mean by the archive, is that this is just going to be content at the end of it, and then hopefully I can build on top of it later on if I want to. But let me show you what we got going right now. So I'll show you the admin interface, but basically the pages that we have right now is this kind of home page. I need to fill it out with something. A timeline, which will eventually fill itself out. It's going to be all of the content we posted based on dates, kind of going back in time, because all this content that I want to upload here is like 10 years old plus. So I think it's kind of interesting to know the year and whatnot, And then videos. So this will be all the videos. I've only got a couple listed right now. And then the crew is like all of the people who are involved in it. And I want to take approach of kind of like an IMDb style, where when you're looking at a video, let's say you look at Must Be Nice, which was one of our skateboard videos. It was a long video, it had a bunch of people in it. So I've only added a couple right now as a little tester, but basically you'd have credits like You're Done was a skateboarder. Chad with a C was a director. G-Rail was a skateboarder. Chad with a C was also a skateboarder. So you can have multiple credits, all of your role in that video or that content, whether it's going to be photos. Eventually I'd like to add photos as well because we have a lot of photographs. Several friends who were photographers throughout all this. So I want to have all the credits on it so we can, remember like, oh, this is who took that photo. This is who was in that photo, and etc. Kind of information going back. Right now, this one is pointing to a playlist, and I don't have that fully supported in here yet. I need to build out some code to support the playlist. So it can just link to it where it is, basically. This is like all of the different parts from the full-length video. I want to get that in here, embeddable and playable in here, so you can launch it from here. But in our other videos, like this teaser, this is just a single video on Vimeo. And I put in the title, the description, etc. I have the same credits. I would add credits, but you can link out to Vimeo if you want to watch it on the actual Vimeo site. A lot of the content that I uploaded is on Vimeo, and the reason is Vimeo wasn't taking down videos because of copyright claims. When I first was uploading these, YouTube was really big on their copyright tear, where they would take a video down immediately if they recognized it had any kind of copyrighted music in it, and so all skate videos mostly do, right? So I put it up on Vimeo instead. And so that's where a lot of my videos live. There's probably some that are on YouTube, that are on other places, whatever. And nowadays it is safer to upload those things because I don't think they'll take it down. They'll just say you can't monetize it or something like that, right? So that's okay. We just want people to be able to find it. But I need to start uploading this content to these platforms. But before I do that, I want to support the platforms in here first. An example of, like, say you are looking at this and you're like, oh, I remember You're Done. I want to see what else they did. I'll use Chad with a C because that one has more credits. I want to see what else they've done. I can click on their profile, and then I can see these are all the things that they were included in, the media. I'm just calling it media because it could be photo or video, or eventually I'd like to have articles. We have a few articles. And their credits in different videos and different things. This is just kind of raw data right now. I'd like to present it a lot better because you see there's a lot of duplicates down here. Like I could just say director, and then they were director of this video, this video, this video, and skateboarder. So if you want to see them doing a specific task in a specific media, you could do that. So I've got these few pages set up. It's basically these three for now. Well, the crew, this is like a crew list page. If you click on one of them, you'll get to their detail page, which lists their media and their credits. And you can get directly to the videos from there. It's basically, you're gonna get directly to media from here. If you come in the videos page, it's the videos list page, and then I've got the detail page with the different players. So today what I want to look at building is adding support for these different players in the Netlify CMS interface. So I built a cool credits widget, they call them widgets, which are basically like a field type, and that allows me to make custom field types to kind of build this data structure that I want. They have a lot of stuff built in that you can do simply, but I like the idea of building my own custom widget because then I can create the UX how I want it, which the goal was for me to be able to upload these quickly and efficiently. So there's a lot of credits to something like this video. There's going to be a lot of people in it, and I need to select all that. So I'm trying to find an efficient way to do that. But let's show you the admin. So the admin I have at /manager, and there's Netlify CMS. If you go through their docs, there's a few ways you can install it. You can just use a straight CDN and put it on a page, and it does everything for you automatically. Super easy, super nice. Super nice, super easy. I went kind of the custom app route, so I'm initiating my app manually, and the reason for that is so I can have full control over the code when I'm creating these widgets. So I'm creating them in React, whereas when you use the CDN version, you have to like have kind of a packaged widget. So it was harder for me to develop on. So this is basically for me to develop it. So you would log in. I'm local right now, so we're kind of seeing just a preview. This is not showing all the content. I've got some code that I will show you that if I'm local, it switches the data source to a local thing versus when I have it deployed, it does the actual one. But I'll show you in here real quick. So I have credit, which is just the unique ID and display name, and this is like director, skateboarder, photographer, etc. People, which is the most filled out one. People will have a unique ID as well as a display name. And media is mostly what I'm working at right now, where we're creating the media. So I have credits, like these the different credits. These are pulling from the credit items in the admin interface, and these are pulling from the person data set. So my idea was that I could come in here and do like, okay, director, Chad, skateboarder, Chad, type it, and I can get through it pretty quick like that, right? I think I might change this later on down the line, but this alone is pretty good to get typing it out pretty quick, but there's no sorting in here. What if like I have several different credits? I have all of these right here actually, so it's gonna get messy real quick. So I wanna update that later on. But you also have the slug, like the URL slug, the title, the description, and the date. And I'm working on creating the new source one right now, new source widget basically. But let's look at, so this is actually up on the real site. If I go to /manager, it will load the Netlify identity. I will continue with GitHub. I wonder if this works. Let's try it. Access denied. Signups not allowed for this instance. That's just because, oh, I got an email about it too. Because I turned them off. So let me fix that. I'm gonna pull this off screen real quick. Well, I don't know if I need to. Let's see. Netlify.com. I'm not even logged in on this account here, huh? How did I create it on the other? Yeah, I need to do it on my other account. Sorry. It's tied to my other account, and this browser is currently tied to my other account. So this is the dashboard for it. During some of this setup, I did a meetup talk about this a little while ago, but the recording came out screwed up, so I don't have it online. Basically about this kind of setup that I have. So I'll probably I'd like to record another one someday. It's basically about the whole Next.js setup and how I got Netlify in there and whatnot. I need to do an updated version because that was when I was not using custom widgets. Now I am using custom widgets, so I'm trying to show like how that works. So, oh, I wonder if I can invite myself. That's cool. So you, under the identity tab, you go in here, invite only users. How did I set this on? It wasn't changed, it was registration. Open. Okay. And then let's go here. Log in, continue with GitHub, logged in as Cheddar, go back and turn that off. Hey, Mohammed. So, invite only users. That's weird. Didn't recognize the new user yet, I guess. So here's what it looks like when it's deployed. You can see the actual content. These are the credits that I've created. If you click on one, it's got the information here. It tries to show you a preview on the right, but the preview is, you have to custom build that basically. Otherwise, it doesn't really do anything for you out of the box. It's just pretty bare bones. But if I wanted to add a new credit, I could do it here through the interface. If I add a new item, I've been trying to think of, I don't know what other credits I might need, but if I add a new item, what it does is this is hooked up to a GitHub repo. And every time you add a new one, what it does is it goes and creates a new JSON file in my GitHub repo, commits it, and then it redeploys the app because there's a new change, and then I get that change. So it's pretty slow in that sense, you know, it takes some time, but the idea is that I will probably be creating a lot of content. I mean, you can do it locally if you do it manually through JSON, but I don't mind if it's going to be slow. It's just me editing this. No one else is in here. It does have the capability of allowing other people to make commits and these kinds of things on this platform using their Git gateway, they call it. It's pretty cool. You can have it so like new changes get thrown into a PR, and then if you approve the PR, it gets merged, and then, you know, it redeploys the site. Anytime you have changes to master, it's watching on my master, and it redeploys the whole site for me. So I don't plan to have a lot of updates or frequent updates. So this is fine for my needs. For like a full-blown CMS solution for a company or something with a lot of authors, this is not the best solution. And I would like to look into something like Strappy later on. But for this specific solution, what I really wanted was the custom widgets. So like I mentioned in the media one, you'll see if I do new, I can set things there. But if you look at one like this, you'll see it's got some of them pre-selected for me that I had previously saved. So that was mainly what I wanted to do. You could probably do some kind of custom creation fields in Strappy as well, but I couldn't see it as easy. The other thing I really wanted this for was saving it in JSON files. So I will always have that JSON data, because I've redone this site maybe 3 or 4 times, right? Like it started out on GeoCities. The first time I built this website was on GeoCities. And it was no code, right? I did it through the visual editor. This is when I was 14 or 15 years old. So that was my first interaction with web stuff too. I wasn't really good at computer stuff yet. This site is the site that got me into web development. So I started out, built it on GeoCities, and then the next iteration, that's number 1. The next iteration, I wonder if I can, web archive. I know it's got some old ones. It doesn't go back to the GeoCities days. How do I search for the site? Let it load. So the GeoCities site was a builder tool, kind of like Wix or something you would have now, right? And then the next iteration, I built it, this goes back to 2006. Oh, it's starting to pick up the new one, that's cool. I built the next version in pure HTML and CSS from scratch, because I finally learned HTML and CSS. And then the next one got onto PHP for the backend. I started using like a database. I started doing image uploads because, you know, hosting your own stuff back then was like how you did it. You didn't have, did it load correctly? It doesn't, oh, it didn't load my styles. It just loaded the content. Interesting. Let's go back to 2006. And I think that this was when we finally bought a domain. This was the very first like landing page. And then this, you know, of course a lot of it's broken. It didn't really look like this back in the day, but the images are broken because I had trouble finding it. There was like a Flash header up top where we would load custom images. And then there was a lot of content. I ended up making like, these were the posts, the news updates. And then they had comments, and the comments got on fire for a little while. I remember people were talking trash. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. We had polls. We do polls all the time. Like at one point, it said that I was getting 4,000 to 5,000 unique visitors a month, which was like great for me, you know, for just a little skateboarding crew website. So that was pretty good. You see this was back home, home.php. Yep, the good old days. So it's been through several iterations. Maybe it's been 5. I didn't think about counting like the GeoCities one as the first one, but this was the busiest time when it was on. This was when it was the most popular, just because more around the time that we had that going. But then, where did all the other ones go? Let's see. Oops, there they are. See if it changes here. 2011 should be a different one. Yeah, so this was the next version. A little more polished. I think this was a lot of CodeIgniter. And then I switched to like everything in the back end was powered by Tumblr, and I used the Tumblr API to pull in stuff. So people were just doing posts on Tumblr. And then I would pull in the content from Tumblr and display it here. But we had it all categorized and stuff. So this was the last time it was live and pretty big, big content-wise. Like we still had a lot of content. A lot of this content I have saved. I have content saved from the prior version, which was actual uploads like to the server. It would upload it to the server and save it on the server. I've got 240 by 320 MOV files that are like so shitty quality. I don't know if I can bring them back in any way, but I'm gonna try. I have a lot of some DVDs too that we released. One of our first videos was on VHS. I think I have a rip of that. Not that one, actually, maybe. The next one was DVD. I have all our old DVDs. We have two or three DVDs that we released. Let's see, like June 2013. How did it look then? Yeah, so still the same thing. It was just pulling from content. I'm not sure when I don't feel like it was even up back then. It was, I guess it was though. Because there was a while where it was down for a long time. After like people stopped posting on here, basically. Could have been 2016, let's take a look. Still posting stuff there. This is probably the last. You see that huge gap there? I didn't bring it back until like this year, early this year. I started working on this last year during COVID lockdowns, right? And I had some goals to bring it back because it was 2005, 2020 would have been the 15-year anniversary. So that would have been nice, but I got sidetracked on a lot of different projects. So, you know, trying to get it up before the 25-year anniversary. No, 20-year. Sorry, that would have been the 15-year. So trying to get it up before the 20-year anniversary. I got a few years left, so I'm getting a head start in the way I see it. All right. So let's look at the code a little bit, see how that's set up. So that's an overview of the project, but or like where it's come from and how we are to where we are now. But this is a Next.js app. In my root, I have a few modifications. Let's see what the README says. Nothing helpful. I think I'm still running on 9.4 of Next, so I don't have like all the latest hotness. I know the 10.0's got some cool stuff in it, some image things. We might upgrade at some point, but I haven't needed it yet. What I do have is some additional scripts in here. So this admin config is all related to the Netlify CMS stuff. So we will be working in here at some point, but basically this is what drives those fields, the collections. You see the credit, it says what to name it, what folder does it live in, because remember, it stores the files in here. So public data credit, and then it just stores a single file with the JSON object of the data. And then I have a script down here called pre-build that takes all of the defined fields from Netlify CMS, and if it's a JSON file, I build it into one single file. So basically this is public data credit, so you can request these one by one if you wanted to, but then I wanted a way to get all, so I create this, which is just an array of all of them. So this would be like your get/credit, and then these would be get/credit by ID, and same kind of REST structure for the media and the people. People has a lot of data in it. You know, it's got all these people. Media will be huge, like massively huge, hopefully by the end. But this one has a couple of the videos, and again, these are just copies of this file into one file. So it's a little bit of duplicated data, but whatever. But my build script basically goes through and builds all that for me, transforms any kind of properties that I want to do. So that happens in this transformations. I call this with the data, and some stuff like I have the body, which I convert from Markdown to be HTML. So I add the body HTML for you when I run that build. And I also do the date. So date is like a date string, and then I created like a formatted version, like you could do with Moment or something, but this pre-builds it, so anytime I have media, you'll see it just hard codes it in there, so I don't have to do it on the fly. I can do it here, and if I change it, it'll be site-wide, etc. TPay Callium. Do I review Next.js projects and provide critiques? I might. If you're like a regular visitor, then yeah, I would be happy to do that. But if you're just throwing something out, I mean, I don't know you. If you have a specific question, I could help you with it maybe. I've been working in Next.js more. I'm not an expert on all the features, but I've been working in it more, getting a grasp around the whole server-side rendered thing. It's a different mindset. That's kind of tricks you up when you come from single-page apps for so long, working in like Create React app for so long, and then hopping over where you don't have window, and it doesn't seem like a big issue because you're like, oh, I just won't use window at sometimes. But I usually start my projects out with local storage from the beginning, and then local storage is not available. Yeah, I do have a Discord. Head out over into that Discord, and then I think I only have like one programming channel, but send something in there. I'll check it out, see what's going on. So let me make sure I didn't miss anything else. We talked about the transformations. There's a lot more to cover, I'm sure. We did the pre-build. I was going through the rest of the files. So I also have some utilities. Those aren't that helpful. But this admin config powers the whole backend. I've recently moved this media config to its own thing too. This is what's driving the different media sources that we're gonna have. So right now we only have video, and I've started adopting more of the Netlify CMS structure, data structure for the fields. The field that I want to build, it basically is rendering like subfields, and they don't have that built in yet. They have a beta feature, but I couldn't get it to work. So without having to rebuild the whole thing, I'm going to do it in a pretty simple level. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to come in, you're going to say the source, and it would be photo, video, or article. I'm only supporting video for the time being, but eventually it will grow to that. So you would hit the source is video, and then you're gonna pick available sources from video, like you can do a Vimeo video, which is a single video. In that case, we need the ID. You can do a Vimeo playlist. In that case, you want the playlist URL, or it might need an ID as well. Or a YouTube video, we need the YouTube ID, or a YouTube playlist. So this is gonna get the data into our JSON files and into our CMS. And then we're also gonna need to handle the rendering of those on the other end, on the content end, which probably won't happen today, but that is something that we'll be working on as well. So if you're not familiar with Next.js, it usually starts out with some files. Let me collapse all these down. It usually just starts with the pages and like styles. In the root, I move them into a source directory. That's how I like to have it. I have components, which is just reusable components across whatever page. The pages is a special structure with them. Anything in this folder follows a specific routing protocol. So for example, let me shrink these down. Pages/index is our home page. And this was just our homepage content. I built a reusable layout component that can take like the title and stuff. And I can show that in depth later on if anyone wants to see it, but it just kind of wraps that left nav, and then we just pass in our content on the main right side here. The manager is the page that launches the Netlify CMS. I'll show you that in a second, because that's a little rabbit hole we'll go down. But the other pages are like /crew/index. It views this route basically, and this page matches the route /crew. If you have /crew/person ID, you have these dynamic routes. That's what they call them, and they're all just basic React components, function components. Super simple and clean. Usually, what you do is you can pass in on these dynamic routes. You can get the get static props, which allows you to take the dynamic prop and pass it into your component. And you also have get static paths, which generates all of the paths that are available. Because this is a dynamic route, we don't know all of the pages that exist. We have to tell it, these are the pages that exist, and it will know about those pages, and then it will pre-render them. It'll pre-render every page that we tell it to. So if we didn't tell it to do any of this, it's not going to pre-render anything for us. So anytime someone comes to our site, they're going to load it all fresh, which can be okay. I don't care too much about the pre-rendering yet, but I know I will want that later on down the line for SEO purposes. So I've started kind of setting it up, but I haven't gone full throttle with it yet. But this is pulling from our data. I built a little data store because all of our data is in this public data folder structure with the JSON files and whatnot. I'll show you the data store. Basically pulls in some models. I have models to allow me to have computed properties basically. And the raw data is the JSON file. So this is like the raw JSON. I build out some credits a special structure for the credits to way to tie them all together, like handling the relations in here manually. I didn't use any kind of, ORM or those kinds of things. Since my data is coming from raw JSON, I'm doing it myself manually. So I make those available on raw if you want to get the raw results, or you can also access them on here, which goes through the models. Let me mute my phone. Go through the models, and the model will do a lot of stuff for you, like especially this media model. So if you look at that, what it is, it creates an instance of this model. There's a few properties. I just put these on here mostly to remind myself what properties exist on it. But this is what we're storing in the JSON file, basically a slug, a date, the source, which is the new field that we're building out. It's got some sub properties, so we'll kind of get a little bit deeper into that structure later on. And the title and description, and then a hint at kind of like, I have credits on here as well. And I have this is a getter property, so it's going to be kind of like a computed property. And it's going to pull the media type for me. The media type is, again, going back to this stuff here. So it's going to say like media type video, and then it's going to pull all this information for me. And then in a second, you'll see there's the sources, which is going to pull the specific source that I want. So which page was it? I was looking at media model. Yeah. So that pulls the media type, which is the video stuff. And then from there, I'm going to pull the media source, which is going to match like Vimeo video, Vimeo playlist. And then from there, I'm going to pull the media fields. And those fields are what comes from here. Because once I'm down to this level, I know, okay, it's going to be a Vimeo video. That allows me to know what kind of view I want to render it in. But fields are like the extra fields. What kind of extra data do I need to be able to put this on the page for them? And I'm going to need a Vimeo ID. So this one says the fields are Vimeo ID and length. That's just kind of something I'm playing with. I have this render as to kind of give it a little hint to say, when you're viewing it, I want you to render it as a Vimeo component. And this is similar to the structure in the admin config, which is the Netlify CMS. You'll see they have fields, and they have a label, a name, and they call it a widget. The widget is the type. They don't have a render as thing because they do the rendering based on what you have select for widget. So, I mean, I could name it to widget to match, but it could be confusing because this is not going to be rendered with Netlify CMS. I'm going to be the one rendering it. So I matched label and name at least. And then this kind of gives me a hint that it belongs to my own custom data type. Some TypeScript in here would be helpful. It would be, nice to get all these going now that I'm working with so many custom data structures. But I haven't implemented that because I don't like to do it on personal projects. So if it pulls one of the other ones, you see they have different fields based on that. So we're going to be rendering out different field IDs. Right now, I'm just going to support string fields because I don't have a need to go deeper yet, but this could be able to support even more. So back on the media model, that's going to pull out all the field kind of options that I'm going to need, and then I render the fields from there later on. I'll have to find where that code is, but there's some other things on here like the title full. The credits is pointing to, again, credit models, which these have like deep relations on them. I even have returning like a link component because this is an older version of Next.js where you had to pass in the href and the as, which was kind of annoying. So I did a couple components on there, which is generally a little taboo because this is a model. It should be data only, but my views are super clean. So that's nice. And the media will get the media type based on whatever the source is. This is what's going to render the field on the view on the front end. We'll look at that in a second. So you see down here, this is the render media type. It takes in the source, grabs the media type. It's saying, hey, if it's a video, then look at all these rules down here. If it's a Vimeo video, then I'm gonna do this specific iframe. If it's a YouTube video, do this iframe, etc., etc. So like, this is where I'm gonna be able to make different view outputs. I'll probably move this out in a refactor at some point, because this should not live in the model file. This is strictly view stuff, but I haven't done that. I've been kind of sloppy with it going so far, and then I'm planning to do refactors later on. So here's another one. For the rendering, the types, like I said, the render as support. If I say text, I just use plain text. Link, I'll give you an actual link. The Vimeo, I'll give you the Vimeo player and stuff. So there's more types I need to support building out in the component side of it. But for now, it's working pretty good. So that handles the store. We went through the pages, basically generating the params, the dynamic routes. So again, on the model, why I had such simple things is so I can do basically simple data like this. Like I just say entry credits, credit type person, credit, or credit type, and then credit person dot link. This will render the link component. It already generates the URL for me and everything. So the views are super clean and simple. Mostly trying to focus on the data right now, because at some point I know I'm going to come back and redesign the site again anyway. So let's go into kind of the wormhole of custom. Oh shit, I forgot to change my task thing. All right, so a lot of that time on starting soon was actually the project overview. Just know. Just know. We could do a drop, in case you don't know. So that's it for the pages. That the models all work the same. The data, the store works like that. I only have two components really, layout and the main nav, and then the widgets. So the widgets are the custom widgets. Let me show you the page, the manager page real quick. So this is Next.js page that is going to serve up Netlify CMS admin. So what we did for that was I'm using the global window. I'm using the basic head. Next dynamic is allowing us to import the Netlify CMS app thing. And the reason we have that is because we can't render this server side. Netlify CMS app relies on window, and if you just try to import it, it automatically does something with the window. It fails, there's errors, and so you have to go this route when you're in Next.js. You use dynamic. What it does is it basically runs this code with these options, and with these options we're saying server-side rendering is false, so don't render this on the server side. And what that turns into just a component, and then you just render your component in the view down below. So server-side, it won't render that at all. I don't need this to be pre-rendered at all, so that's fine with me. But when you're on client-side, it will do this. So that's what dynamic is doing. I've never used dynamic before this, but you can basically use it to render things conditionally and whatnot, so it's pretty cool. Kind of like, they might have their own thing for suspense type stuff, where you like lazy load things, but I think dynamic can also do that. I'm not totally positive on that though. Double check into that. But inside the dynamic, what happens is you want to set CMS manual init true. That's what they have in their docs. I don't know if it does anything otherwise, but I do it anyway. I import the Netlify CMS app. So this is their core library. It gives it to me on CMS. I use a Cloudinary plugin to allow image uploads to Cloudinary, so I'm also using that. I have to register the Cloudinary as a media library with the CMS. All this stuff happens automatically if you include the CDN version. except for like, you still have to include these separately, whatever, but it does that stuff automatically for you, which is really nice. That kind of setup is super easy, but once you get into this custom route, it's nice to have this set up because developing widgets is so much easier. And then I register my custom widget called credits, and you'll see the credits widget just has a few things on it. We'll look at that in 1 second. And then I init it with the config. The config is coming from my admin config. So normally this is like a YAML file, or it could be a JSON file, and it's static, right? But in my admin config, I have a slight dynamic helper to say, if this is the local host, I want to use my backend as the test repo. And that allows me to view the admin while I'm developing the widget, but it doesn't allow me to see any of the data. It's pretty wonky otherwise, but that's the main thing, is for local development. And then when it's not in development or localhost, basically, I use the Git gateway, which allows it to use GitHub and Git users to make commits to the content through the Git gateway, they call it. That's a Netlify specific thing. The load config file's false just because we don't want it to automatically look for the config file for us. It normally makes an AJAX request for it. Cloud and area information. These are public keys, so they're okay to be out there. Thanks for the follow, Chu King. And then my collections data. So this is all the different fields that we have built, that we're building out right now. Right now, I have the credits one up top just because I was developing it. It was easier to be at the top. Ideally, it will probably be down here. That's why I have it down here as well. And this label source is the new one we're going to work on. But let's look at the code that's included from our custom credits control, which was this thing here, the 2 rows. You select the credit type and the credit person. So you have to have 3 things, or 2 things really. The control, which is the edit. This is the control right here, the input form basically. And the preview, which shows up over here on the right. My preview is super basic. It's has some styles. It basically just prints out a definition list of the values, as you can see there. So it's just got those on the left and the right. Let me just unsave those changes. So this thing's pretty dumb. It could be fancier. You can get into real previews, setting up real previews with Netlify CMS. I haven't gone down that route yet because I'm just trying to get the data in. The control is where the real magic happens. So in here, it's built on React, so we use regular React components. I import my data store, which comes from my same build, Next.js build. So Next.js is what's running this under the hood. So it's nice in that sense that I'm writing the same kind of code for the widgets as I am for my regular Next.js stuff. I can use share code across the both of them, which I actually am doing. I'm using the data store. Once I build out some viewable things, I could put them into the credits components, like maybe custom components to view these things, right? I could include them in here if you want to use them, and then you can also use them in your regular project. So that's where I would like to go down the line. I have a lot of commented out code in here because I copied it from the docs, and I wanted to remind myself of how this is all working. I'm still new to all these widgets. Building a custom widget in general, I'm not, super well versed in it. So these static prop types, these are what comes in for you. They have an onChange, a for ID, because it is a form element, they have a for value. The value is the actual value that they're giving you, and a class name wrapper. I guess there's some additional class names that you need to include. Default props, I had some static in here before, mainly for testing, but I defaulted the value to have a couple items in there. Sometimes I bring that back. And also you'll notice this is a class, while the rest of my Next app was functional components and hooks. I believe I could convert this to a functional component, but I haven't tried it yet. I've just been going with the class because it's already, that's what the documentation was using, and I copied a lot of this from the docs. So I have some state for a focus field. This is just because, I don't know, there's something to do with the way I was updating the state and the props and saving it. I needed that, so I added it. I did some recent console logging to try to debug some extra things to see how I would build this new source widget. This is an example of what the props value comes in as. And they had this handle change one before, and this props field, so I couldn't tell what this was coming from. Like what did this do? What did I need it or not? What it is the field is actually pointing to this array config right here. So on there, when I say field.get, I'm looking for a config value called separator. If it doesn't exist, it's going to give me this default. And that's something that Netlify CMS gives you. I haven't used that, so that's the thing. But I've left that there in case I wanted to add the option to make things configurable through here, which I could. I did try a few different ways to kind of send data in. I think eventually I will want to change it so I send data through here. But Melky Dev, thank you for the raid. Yo, right, Joy-Con, what's up? What's up? Let's drop, guys. Feels good, man. Melky is a man of his word. Are ads over? Are the ads done yet? We'll drop till the ads are done. Anyway. Oh, Zodog! Oops. Yelling. Lexical? You jerk? I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, did they bang you off of the pool? That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, that's fair. What's up, y'all? We're working on this content site, Melky. This is my old skateboard website that I used to have. I'm rebuilding it on Next.js with Netlify CMS to drive the admin interface. I don't have much yet, but there's a few. Here's a couple of our videos. So this content is all being driven by JSON files through Netlify CMS, and I'm rendering it in Next.js. I'm working on building some more custom kind of admin interface things right now. Like this credits thing is a custom admin interface to tie credits to different users. Y'all want to see this? I wonder if I'll get some copyright stuff for the sounds. This music is not copyright safe. If you want to watch it, you can go to shredlove.com. It's up there right now, but there's not a lot of content. But you can watch that stuff at least. That was the preview, the trailer. PG-13 on the video, no. Even the stream, no. I cuss sometimes. I mean, does that count? That's not PG-13, right? But there's a link to the full playlist here if you want to watch the full video. You can watch it part by part. Parts by parts. But this credit type thing here, this is a custom widget that I built inside Netlify CMS, and now I'm trying to build one for a new source because a lot of our videos and stuff is going to be on YouTube or Vimeo or other things like that, and I'm trying to utilize their players, but render it on our site. So that's what we're looking at right now, is building the next custom widget. We were in the control file. So yeah, that pulls from there. And for something like, or that pulls from the admin config here, where you could pass in something like the options. Because right now I'm doing a little cheat. I'm pulling in my data store. But if I wanted to make this reusable for other people, they wouldn't have access to my data store. This is custom code, so they would need to have their own options. So ideally they could pass those options in. But for my data store, I do, this is just a lot of helper code, but basically I am rendering all of the credits, pulling from my data store. So it's pulling from my JSON files, my data. I render out all those options. So if I add a new credit item, it will automatically be added to the list, like a normal CMS. Took me a while to get here though, but this is all of the code for that credits thing, which is really just two different, I think it's a grid. So it's, this is one row and then these are one row. We're gonna rip this off, copy it, paste it, rename it, source, rename it, source control, no, rename it, source preview, no. Let me close out all these files. And these, those are taking source. I left this in for debugging along the way. I don't really need it. So the third thing you can actually pass besides the control and the preview is a schema, a JSON schema, which I've been working a lot lately with in work, and it's pretty cool. So that can validate the schema that they pass into the admin config. It will validate this if you have custom things. So that should fix that. Source content, the control. What is Yup.js? What does that do? Is that a schema validation? So another thing to add, another thing we have to do to add it is import it here. I'll look at that in 1 second. So that will add the source widget. I'll basically duplicate this. Source. That's all source widget, and now it should be available. So to add it to my actual schema, I'll show it there. And let's check it out. Let's see if we could see it. I found out this new trick where I can, boom, just bring a window open with the keypad. Heavily inspired by Joy. Joy's dead now. Joy was a popular one. This one's really popular too. 1.6 million downloads, and they can't call themselves a 1.0 yet? What's going on? What are they waiting for? A lot of companies won't use something until it's a 1.0. I'm not using the JSON schema as my validation. That's just what Netlify CMS is using out of the box. I like that. I like the JSON schema spec. It's basically a spec, whereas this is not a spec. This is a library, right? So based on the JSON schema spec, you can implement any kind of libraries. There's a lot of libraries across all languages for it. So I'm working mainly in JavaScript. there's also availability in Python, Java, etc., whatever, right? Just like you would support JSON across all of them. So that's why we use JSON schema at work. But some small, if you just need a library, yeah, like something like this is nice. I haven't used one of these though. I usually write my validation manually. I know this is, if I had to write a lot of validation, I would definitely use one of these. Or if I had to work with a team where it was easily understandable, you know. Okay, so let's look at our manager. And let's look at the new field in there. It's hydrate break. I always get this error locally and I don't know why. Media, new media. There it is, source, so it's the same code, doing the same thing, but it's showing up. Step 1. Ah, project overview is done now too. Task end. Task start. We are now onto the source widget. By the way, they're starting soon. Like a half hour of that should have been on the project overview. I don't have any things to fix that yet, so I would need to write a command maybe to like set the time, you know? That'd be cool. Okay, so our source widget, I don't need this. I need source control. Source control? That's not what you think it is. It's a component. This is gonna rely heavily on the media types. So we're gonna say import media types from media type config. So I have a little JSON config to set my base URL to the root, and that allows me to import things directly like this. And I added that specifically so I could have these things at the high level because they apply to everything, and they actually are loaded with module.exports instead of the other way, imports, because I use the admin config in my local pre-built script, which runs in Node, an older version of Node. I don't remember, do they have import, export support in Node yet? I'm not sure. So media types, I can take out some of this focus field stuff. I don't think I'll need any of that since I have the other, I don't have a lot of the complexity, hopefully, of the fields just yet, so. And this wasn't a thing because they were passing, I was making a change and they would pass the value down as like an immutable JS thing, and it was doing some weird shit, so I had to do this. I might have to reuse that. But let's delete more of this. As you can see, we need the for ID and the class name wrapper on the root. And then inside of it, we can do whatever we want. So get current credits, I'll say get current source. And this will take the value or it will be an empty object. I'll say source value. Sorry, I got a new keyboard and I still suck at it. This was left over. I might use those later on, I guess. I'll probably delete them and just rewrite them. Okay, so credits, it's not the grid input. What I want to render is a box for the different types, and I want to store the state along the way. So I'm going to say there is no source value dot media type, then I want to render that box first. And these will actually be I think it's media types. I think I want object dot entries. I hate those pop-ups. I want to get rid of them again. And then map over that. And that will get the, wait, is entries the one that gives me the key and the values? I think it does. So actually, I think it would be, let me look it up. Yeah, it gives me an array with the key and the value. That's what I want. So I'm going to destructure that to be the media type. That's the name. And then media type info. Maybe that needs parentheses around it since it's destructured. And let's look at our media types to see what we're getting. So this is the media type, video, and then this whole object is the info of it. Still nobody in the pool? Did anybody land in the pool? I did earlier. Because I want that label. And then I'm going to want the sources. Media type info dot label. I don't have a description on there. I don't think I need it. I was just going to list the sources actually as like additional meta info. But when you click on that, I want to set media type. Problem is it doesn't have it's gonna be media type info and media type. That's what I want. I believe. So let's create that. That's gonna be oh, you know, I'm not in hooks. That's right. I really wonder if I can convert this to hooks or if it will mess things up. I mean, it's worth a try on this one, right? I say we do it. Let me put that back. Go for it. So supported, Zodog. We're gonna need this one still. Let's move everything inside our render first, huh? Media type. And those will all move up. Source value. Okay, let's cut this out. No, we don't need any of this. It will be export default. Control. And that'll be that. There we go. Gonna need a function on that. Oh, light's changing. I won't need the fragment. You actually don't need to import React in the latest versions either. Is Hawaii really banning loud laughing? Can they do that? I mean, if it goes over a certain decibel, sure. But just like someone enjoying their time? That seems rude. Use state. And the props, I'm gonna take these from the props. And I also use value. Oh, is my mouse dying or something? What's going on? It can only be aloha. Get it? Get it? Aloha. Oh, that was solid. Solid. So how do I want to move this over? Do I want to put that into state? I guess I can leave that for now. And source value. I mean, I could just do this. I wonder if there was probably a reason why I put it in a thing, but let's go with that. So we'll have the media type after they select it, of course. If I don't need to say that, then I can just say if there is no media type yet, pick a media type. Oops. Pick a media type, photo, video, article. And that will set the media type when we click on it, because we have set media type. And if there is a media type, what should we render? We want to render the sources. So similar to this, but it's not going to be object entries. It's just going to be media type dot sources dot map, and that will just take a source we'll set a source. I don't know if I need to do anything else on there, so we'll just leave it like that for now. Source dot label. Yep. If media type and no media source, I'm gonna call this set media source. Then pick a source. Still not using my source value. That's okay, I think. And then once you have a source, I want to step 1, pick a media type. Step 2, pick a media source. Vimeo, video, Vimeo playlist, etc. Step 3, fill out the fields. Okay, let's see if it renders. I see you playing some messages there. There's the source. Reload. I don't know if the hot reload's working, so I'll just do a hard refresh. I'm gonna move this to the right. And close that. Okay, so you see the one there, the video. I click on that, and then it says, okay, Vimeo video, Vimeo playlist, YouTube video, what kind of video? Dude, say Vimeo video, and then I'll render my fields. I will need to have some way to edit them, right, if you want to go back and change it. But I don't have that yet. So this way it could be like a drop down. I don't know how I want the UI to be, honestly. I just want to get it functioning, and then I'll kind of decide like, okay, what will be the easiest way, quickest way for me to input these things. But I have that there. So I have everything I need. I should have everything I need to media source to render the form. So what we'll do with that is, once we have the media source will have, it'll be this. And I want the fields off of there. And then I'm just gonna render plain text fields. Where am I? There we go. So the media source, and then I want to do media source dot fields dot map. I might need to do some form stuff here, but we'll get to that later. Field. And this is going to return probably a fragment with a label. I have to see how they do theirs, honestly, because I want to match their style. But let's do this for now. Field.label. Name is field.name. Type equals text. So that should at least render out the fields, but let's see what it looks like, how we can steal their styles. I don't know why it didn't render out the fields there, but oh, they got some fancy shit going on in here. Maybe I'll have to just style it my own then. How did I do the credit stuff? Render an input row. Credits select, so I did have some styles. Those live. Where do those live? Styles app.css. Didn't even see that styles folder there. Okay, so I'm using Bulma. I'd like to switch this to Tailwind. No, not this. The front end, I'd like to switch to Tailwind. But I'm just using Bulma for now, yeah. In the Netlify admin CMS though, they have their own CSS stuff, so I'm kind of just overriding it with custom styles for now, which is whatever. Where did I put that code? I'm also using Sass. Widgets. I don't like the name widget. I'm not used to it. So let's copy this. Let's say input. Actually, Bulma has some input styles. Should I just use theirs? Bulma forms. Form controls is what I wanted. Input. Yeah, I would like to just use theirs for now. Class input. There was something for with a label, if I'm right. I could do something like this. Did I load the styles? I think yeah, I think it's good. Let me copy like this. Seems excessive, but let me do it. And we'll see how it looks. Bulma Docs really needs a way to say like, I am using React, please format it in the way of React. This is field.label, and the value does not need anything. Don't want it to be read-only. Type is text. name is field.name. So I think I'm gonna want this in a form. I might already be in a form. See how that looks. Ah, yes, because the fields, their styling is to not have anything on the field, so I want to fix that. Yeah, and that field doesn't match like at all. So let me just go my own route. Oh, I do want it in the form. What happened? I just don't want all these divs, you know? I do think this, I mean, should be a field set, right? And then input type equals text, name equals field dot name. I'll put an ID on this and say, I mean, right now you can't have more than one, so I'm gonna source form. I'm going to do a little cheesy workarounds for now, and then we'll solidify it later. Sub input, because I want to add a border around that. Upside down jokes not allowed. Noted. Yeah, I'm too lazy to read it. Sorry. Welcome back, Blake. How long is 600 seconds? It just automatically selected that. 10 minutes? Wow. That was a while. What was I doing? Source form. I'll need to do like a const on change. I like to use the form data. Document dot get element by ID. Source form. And then I like to say const data equals form data. Oh, I usually write them out one by one. Well, we'll see, data is an object. could be a good case for a reduce, to be honest. Because I want to do media source dot. Is there a get all for form data? Get all values? Oh, that's not the right get all. Yeah, they don't. I think they do. Why don't they have that? Why isn't that included out of the box? To just like give me an object of everything. So stupid. So what we want is form data entries dot reduce, and then that's gonna be all comma next. We're going to take all, and then we're going to override next bracket 0 with next bracket 1. And that should give us all the data, I think. And I want this to happen on change of input, oops, no, on change. Let me also log out. I guess I don't need to log out the source as well. Let's see if that works. Oh, I meant to add a style for this. Border is solid 1px light gray. It's there. Entries reduce. Isn't entries an array? Oops. Is it because it returns an iterator? Do I have to say like array from first? Or yes. Okay. So it's spitting it out. How can I attach it to the form so that when it saves, I don't need to do validation, that's not my stuff, but luckily it's just for myself, so I won't need to be too fancy with it. So in the end, it should look like this object here. So that, what we just saw was the parameters. I want the media type and the type still. Oops. Give me back to my code. So that's the source data. It's a const. The value equals media type. Media type is actually, thanks for the follow, MVX James, I'm guessing. Media type dot media type, I think. And then the type is the media source dot type. And then the rest of it is parameters is the data. So that should be all of it. Yep. That's it. But if I change it, how did I like set the value before? Pass it upstream, you know? In the credit control. There was an on change, right? Let me see. Yeah, I would call on change with the updated values. So I need another one. So instead of on change, I'll say on input change. And then on change, set the value. So let's see, usually this like credits.map. Oh, yes, I didn't update the preview. Drop in the meantime. So this preview was still relying on I'm just going to do my good old-fashioned pre-JSON dot stringify the value null to. There it is. But I want to put a label on that for sure, so. Butt stretch. What are you complaining about? Pre cannot appear as a descendant of P. How about a section? And refresh. Those were the errors I was getting before, don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not gonna do what everybody thinks I'm gonna do. Just flip out, man. Finally. Function components cannot be given refs. I expected this button, this key thing. The render method of I wonder if it's complaining because it doesn't allow what's it called? Functional components. Okay, so video. Let's do a Vimeo playlist this time, and this time you see it's the playlist URL. Let's fix this styling, shall we? Thank you for the follow, Matuspersi. Matuspersi. What was I looking for? I want to know what styles are for them credit labels. This one. Just font weight bold, huh? Close out some of these other ones. Don't need the preview anymore. I want to be back in here. Why is that text so big? Oh, Bulma. Oops. Let me delete that label text off of there. There we go. I do want to display them block. Oops. There we go. And that width 100%. Yep. I want that nice rounded styling there. Basically, I want this. and source. I mean, this I could just call. Field set, display block, margin bottom, 0.5 rem. Looks better. Oh, I want a bottom here. There we go. Okay, so I don't have a way to go back and select other options in case I screwed up, right? Let's see. Start from the beginning. Style those buttons too. Almost 2 hours. I think I'm ready for a snack. Getting hungry. Way further out. Should this thing be zoomed in more? Oh. What's that? I mean, I could just make it like a multi-step thing, right? So you select source video. And then I think we should do that. So they should be select boxes instead. And then when you change them, it swaps it out. I like that. I will need to do a little more work with the on change, but that's okay. Value equals media type. e dot target dot options e dot target dot selected index, right? Right? And then from there, I'd want to pull it from the media types. I'm gonna call that media type. And do that, and that should set it. Let's see. I don't know why this takes so long to load. Yeah. It's not exactly working because I need to print out an empty option. I probably want a label for that too. So I might be able to drop some of these. And let's just add that. We'll say label is media type. Source input select. There we go. Video. console log the media type. Dot value. Oops, I wanted to reload. Cancel. Close. Wait for reloading. Video, and then you choose the video type. Let me add that field. Oh, this is not just on media type change. Oops. And I want to change it to another select with that empty option. And these will now be options. Value is source dot name. You hear Zoe walking? She's got her heels on. Hey Mahamdi, welcome back, welcome back. Source type. Oh, Zoe's here. She's ready for dinner, I think. So do you want dinner? Let me take a break to feed Zoe. Do I have a break screen? I don't. That's my break screen. BRB. I'm back. The cat is fed. Do not save the cat feeding. So where did we leave off here? Hi, Mountain Panda. Did you miss the Zoe showing? We just showed her right before you showed up. She came up and she said, I'm hungry. Feed me. I think this was it. I think I need to write on media source change. Oh, you missed her. I'm sorry. She's already like done eating. She just took a little bit and then immediately went and sat down. Maybe she wanted attention. We're just gonna change it all to source and then fix it. She needed a nibble. Just a little bit, just a little bit. The media source, and this is gonna come from the media type. Sources dot find where s dot type is equal to the media source, and if there's no media source, return otherwise. Set media source was just that. Okay. Okay. Let's try it. Cannot read property sources of null. Okay, let's try that. No lands in the pool. Huh. Oh, what the? What am I missing? It's defaulting to null, but that's fine because this should be and, so that would be false, right? Let's go back to not rendering this until we have a media type and Oh yeah, because media type dot sources. That one down there. Whoops. Let me fix that one then up top. Okay, go. And drop. Close. In the pool. Oh no, wait, that was way off. I thought I was near the edge of the other screen. My bad. So we don't have a media type, we select one, and then we get the source type. Oh, Vimeo video, and then nothing happens. And it's probably because on the media source change, the media source, I set the value as the source dot name. Is that right? No, source dot type. So the source dot type, and then I should be able to find it. Okay. Those reload things, I always forget which one I wanted. No, I don't actually read them. They're just trying to ask me, are you sure you want to leave here before saving things? And hey, we have an old set of data that we had on this page. Do you want to use it? But they're really annoying because they don't clear out correctly. Like when you save something correctly and go back to that page, it tries to reload the old one again. It says, hey, do you want to reload the old data? But you, yeah, it's buggy. Okay, video, Vimeo video, and there we go. Vimeo playlist, YouTube video, YouTube playlist. Cool. So what if I enter an ID like that? And my value is correct. So now I need to see, does it load something correctly? Like if I've already got it saved. I also would like to drop off any empty values like that, but that's a minor thing. Don't update it then. There will be some bugs around CS. See if I change the source type, it doesn't update what I selected on the form. It should. But let's go for happy path. What is the happy path, you say? Well, let me tell you. The happy path is when everything works as planned. I'm assuming you're entering data correctly, how you want it. Going for the happy path. And this, I want to do some initial props. Default value is going to be that. Reload. build stuff. I brought some snacks over. Forgot I bought these today. Crunchy. You gotta have snacks. Okay. Definitely don't think it worked. Oh, well, I set the source value. I'm not really using it. We'll stick with the source value. Media type. Hey Rocky, so we're making a content website. I have this old skateboarding website with videos and different people, and on a video I'm attaching data like the title, description, and credits, like what role the person played in the video, and also like the source. Right now I'm working on the source right here, the Vimeo ID, but it can be from YouTube, it can be from Vimeo, it can be a playlist, it can be a single video. So I'm working on building that out in the Netlify CMS admin right now. I'm adding this source field. I've already got a credits field custom widget that I made, and I'm making a source custom widget. It works like this. You select the media type. There would be like photo, video, article, etc. And the source type would be where you want to pull it from. The video. In this case, I would paste the video ID. And if I wanted to have, this is just to test extra fields, but that would be like the length of the video. And right now, I've got it working. I think for the most part, I'm trying to get it so when I first load data, it has the data. Because I set a default value. This is what, like a default. Yeah. Video would look like. But I need to populate my fields based on that. So source value dot media. Well, so okay, so here's the thing. It would be media type. That's just the name of it. That's not the full media. Because I would need to get it. Let's say const default. Well, no, let me. Not equals, I want or null. And the media source would be source value dot type or null. And then I'll update these. Maybe I'll update these to be the names. Name. So then this can take just like get media type name. Get media source media type. Not the name. Yeah, I guess the name is fine. I don't know why it does that by default. Try to pull up the media type dot sources. I did this down below, basically. Double dot sources. Okay. Yeah, maybe I don't need the names and I just want to do this. Because I'll just set them manually later on if I need to. Or null. So those should start out null. I'm gonna need to change some of these. So in here, get media type. I'll just do the media type. Set it. This should be get media source. Okay, I think that should work the same on the media source change. Maybe this last part, is there anything I need to update here? So now I feel like I do want to ditch this and go the other route. Because the media type, I guess it's okay. No, it's not okay. Form data. Because the data will be basically this value. Come from media type, dot media type, that, and the data parameters. Media source. Ooh, media sour. Dot fields dot map. This should be a reduce. directly into there. Params. Next. So it's going to copy all of the params, and then the next one I want field. Field.name is equal to form data.get field.name. I think that's it. Let's try it out. Get media type is not your thing, right? It isn't. These need to be defined lower. I guess all of these. Cancel. Refresh. Reload. And let's drop and let's snack. So it loaded some data. I think the problem is that it's not showing in the, I don't have like a selected default value and stuff. Default value should be media, media type dot source value dot media type. Source value dot type. Source value parameters. Do they support conditional chaining in here yet? I don't think they do. Oh, maybe they do. Let's try it. Oh shit, it worked. Reload. Cancel. Snack break. Excuse me. Boom. It's loaded. Change it to a playlist doesn't really update the fields correctly. That's okay. I'll leave that as a bug. So one thing I wanted to check was if the default value is just an empty object. What does it do? Does it load correctly? Refresh, reload. Cancel. Snack break. Okay, so it does what I want. Nice. So we'll have to handle stuff like validation. I'm sure there's some bug edge cases around this thing, but for the most part, I should be able to create something with it. I haven't been able to save it. You try it. Bye, Mountain Trash Panda. Who are you making dinner for? And I think I'm getting an error for function components, so I might not be able to use the function component. But I'm just talking about refs. I'm not using any refs. So I think it should be good. Okay. So I'm gonna call it there. Task count 133. Let's start the ending. All right. So thanks for tuning in. We made pretty good progress on it. I will be back for another. And this is a new project that we've kicked off. Let me look at some ratings. Ratings, not ratings. Who can we raid? Rockstar has been going for, a couple days now. He's going for like multiple days. He's doing a startup landing page right now. Let me make it past ads. This ad being so long. It'll hype him up. So he just woke up right before I started streaming. It was like 5 a.m. his time. He woke up because he couldn't sleep. He was debating going back to sleep. So let's give him a little bump, huh? A little boost, little boost. Okay. All right, we're gonna raid Rockstar. And I will see you hopefully again on Friday. Maybe we'll work on this, maybe we'll work on something else, I don't know. We'll see. But let's go on over. All right.